Hello everyone, welcome to Fantastic Solutions. So today we'll be starting with an easy problem, which is Leetcode meeting rooms problem, and that has been asked, almost all good companies: Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook. So we'll just go through this easy problem first, and we'll try to solve it. So the problem says, given an array of meeting intervals, meeting time intervals, where intervals of I is nothing but start of I and end of I. This basically means the first meeting will start at interval 0 and end at interval 30th. And what we need to do, we need to determine if a person could attend all the meetings. So for the first one, this meeting is starting at 0 and ending at 30th. Second meeting is starting at interval 5 and ending at 10. And this is 15 and 20. So it says we can't attend almost all the meetings, because there is one overlap between the first meeting and the first with second and first with third as well. For the second one, if you'll see, the first meeting is starting at 7 and ending at 10. Second is starting at 2 and 4, and there is no overlap. So that's why we can attend both the meetings. So we can just see how this is possible. So the basic way would be we can visualize on this diagram. So since this is 0, 35, 10, right? So we can just start, let's say 0, 5, instead of doing 1, 2, 3, and 10. Just to save the space, we're going with 5, 10, 20. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, let's say 35. So very first meeting is starting at 0 and ending at 30th. So this is going to take almost all the available space. So that's how this interval will be here. For the second one, it's going to take from 5 to 10, which is this one. Third one is going to take from 15 to 20. So clearly we can see there is overlap between first and second and first and third. So that's why we can't attend all the meetings, and we return here as a false. And for the second one, if we can draw the similar line and see, it's 7 and 10. So we can start from, let's say, 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it says first meeting is starting at 7 and ending at 10, which was the first in the array. So this is going to take this amount of space, and the second one is going to start from 2 to 4. So now we can see there is no overlap. That's when we can attend both the meetings, and it's returning as a true. And now since we have clear picture here, then we can see how we can solve it. So for here, if you see how the meetings are starting, so we can just see from the day, like the very first meeting, at what time it's starting and at what time it's ending. And the second meeting, after this, which is going to start, its start time for the second meeting should be greater than end of the first meeting. If that's the case, then we are good to attend the meeting and we can just return a true. But here, let's say the very first meeting in the day is starting at 0 and it's ending at interval 30. And the second meeting, which is going to start, is this start time is less than the end time of my previous meeting. Then we can't attend it. That's the basic core solution we can think of. And that's how the logic is going to apply. So what we are doing here, whatever the input array we have it here, we just need to find all the meetings in the start order, like which is the first meeting going to start, then which will be the second, which will be the third, and which will be the fourth. So to do that, we just need to sort the input array based on the start meeting. So that's why we know the first, second, and third, fourth meeting. And now we have all the meetings now, then whether the meeting are going to overlap or not. So whenever let's say we are going from first to second, so we are going to check whether the second meeting, the start of the second meeting, let's say in this case, this is the second and this is the first meeting. So start of the second meeting. So let's say start of the second meeting is greater than end of the first meeting. If this is the case, right, then we can attend the first and second meeting. And this we have to do with all the available pairs. And if it does follow the same condition, then we will be returning true. Otherwise, we are just going to return the false. So every time we have to check whether the start of the second meeting is greater than the end of the first previous meeting, whatever the previous meeting we have. And then we are just good to go. So let's clear the board and try to solve the problem. So the very first thing, what we need, like we should have at least two intervals. Otherwise, we are not going to, compare them. That's the edge case. If we try to write it, if let's say intervals dot length is less than 2, then we don't need to do any calculation. We can just return true, because if we have only one meeting, definitely we can attend it. Now, if we have more than one meeting, then first what we are trying to find all the meetings like in the start order, right? So that we can know which in all order we have to attend all the meetings. So that's our first goal. So we just need to sort the input array. Just return based on the start of the interval. So a of 0 minus b of 0. So now our intervals array is basically sorted based on the start of the meeting. Now if we have it, we just need to iterate our entire array one by one for each intervals and check if the second meeting start is less than the first meeting. Similarly, third is the previous one, fourth is the last previous one, right? So we can start from this array. Let's say from the I is equal to 1, because we just need to check this with the previous one, right? So we can start from the first item of the array. And then go till the end of the array. Now the condition is if intervals I, whatever we are current interval, right? So if intervals I of start, which is the 0th element, if that is less than intervals I minus 1, right? We're going to check the current interval with the previous one, right? So if it's less than the previous intervals end of the meeting, right? If it's less than the previous interval end of meeting, then we know like there is overlap and we can't return both of them, right? So we are just going to return false. And this we're going to check for each possible pairs, because let's say our interval is already sorted. And at any place, if we find like there is kind of overlap, we'll be returning false. And let's say if you're not returning false, right, then we know that we'll be definitely able to attend all the meetings. So we can just return true from here. Let's try to run the problem. We can run it now. Yeah, it's working fine. Just submit it. So yes, it's got accepted. Cool. And if you're trying to see the time complexity and space complexity for this one, so time and space complexity, I can just write here. So space, like we're just sorting the intervals array in place, right? So we are not using any extra space. So the space would be big O of 1, because there is no extra space. And what about the time complexity? So if you see the first thing, like we are doing a sorting, so that would be n log n. And then second, what we are doing, like for each elements into the array, like we are iterating one by one all of them. So that would be big O n log n as big O of n, right? That's what we are doing. So this will be equals to big O of n log n. That's the time and space complexity. So that's it for today.